Well, on to the details now. Witness testimonies have begun in Donald Trump's trial for criminal hush money payments, facing 34 charges in connection to allegations of paying off an adult film star before the 2016 election. Trump denies these accusations, saying the case is politically driven. DD India's correspondent William Denselor provides updates from New York on this ongoing trial.
Entering the courthouse on Monday, Donald Trump once again railed against this case and this trial that he faces. He has described it as election interference, all in an effort to hurt his chances of regaining the White House come November. Monday saw opening statements in this trial. We heard from prosecutor Matthew Colangelo, who alleges that Donald Trump committed election fraud, pure and simple. The prosecution have painted a narrative that Donald Trump sought to dampen potentially politically damaging stories for making it public in the lead up to the 2016 election. The prosecution alleged that a reason why he used a fixer to pay the porn star Stormy Daniels $130,000 as a hush money payment was to make it as hard as possible for that payment to be traced. We heard from Todd Blanche, the defense lawyer representing Donald Trump, during opening statements that said that the prosecution laid out a neat narrative. However, he said it simply wasn't true. He went on to argue that Donald Trump committed no crimes. He even said that any efforts to try and influence an election, there is nothing wrong with that. He said simply that is what democracy is. We've also had the first witness take the stand during this trial. That is David Pecker, who owned the firm that controls the National Enquirer. That's a media organisation accused of catching and killing potentially politically harmful stories about Donald Trump in the lead up to the 2016 elections. He's expected back on the witness stand Tuesday. We're also expecting a hearing on Tuesday about Donald Trump's gag order that prosecutors allege he has been violating. They say such violations could result in fines or even up to 30 days behind bars. Judge Juan Machan put that gag order in place in an effort to stop Donald Trump from potentially attacking witnesses during this trial. Donald Trump says it is unconstitutional and has called for that gag order to be dropped. William Denslow in New York reporting for DD India.
Well, British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has promised to start sending asylum seekers to Rwanda from July as the UK Parliament passed Rwanda Asylum Bill. Sunak said that the government had booked commercial charter planes and trained staff to take migrants to Rwanda, a policy he hopes will boost his Conservative Party's flagging fortunes before an election later this year.
The success of this deterrent doesn't rest on one flight alone. It rests on the relentless, continual process of successfully and permanently removing people to Rwanda with a regular rhythm of multiple flights every month over the summer and beyond until the boats are stopped.
Also, under the policy formulated 2 years ago and agreed with Rwanda, any asylum seeker who arrives illegally in Britain will be sent to Rwanda under a scheme the government says will deter channel crossings and smash the people smugglers' business model. The legislation is expected to receive royal assent from King Charles later this week and then will become a law. And now updates on Ukraine-Russia conflict. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky expressed gratitude to U.S. President Joe Biden for support and leadership in a telephonic conversation on Monday. Biden told his Ukrainian counterpart that the United States will provide significant new security assistance to meet Ukraine's needs as soon as the Senate passes an aid bill and he signs it into a law. During the conversation, Zelensky also told Biden about Russian air terror through thousands of missiles, drones and bombs, and noted a strike on a television tower in Ukraine's second largest city of Kharkiv, which occurred minutes before their conversation. Later in his nightly video address, Zelensky said the legislation still to be approved by the U.S. Senate and signed by Biden clarified that Ukraine would be receiving the long-range ATACMS Army tactical missile systems it has long sought. Also, the Senate is set to vote on Tuesday to advance a $95 billion foreign aid package that includes $61 billion for Ukraine, which the House passed over the weekend. Meanwhile, a Russian air attack on Ukraine's second biggest city, Kharkiv, hit TV broadcast infrastructure, prompting disruptions with the signal. The 240-meter television tower in Kharkiv broke in half and fell to the ground after the attack on Monday. Regional Governor Ole Sinehubov said there were interruptions to the digital television signal, adding that no casualties were reported because the workers were in shelters. However, dramatic footage from the scene showed the main mast of the tower breaking off and falling down as a cloud of smoke rose in the sky. Russia first attacked Kharkiv's television tower in early March 2022, soon after its full-scale attack on Ukraine. Moscow has recently stepped up its attacks while Ukraine is suffering a shortage of air defense capabilities. Kharkiv and the surrounding region have experienced the most intense strikes. And British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak will announce $617 million uplift in military support for Ukraine on a visit to Poland on Tuesday. Sunak's visit to Poland to meet Prime Minister Donald Tusk is his first international trip for months. Ahead of his visit to Poland, Sunak in a statement said the package will help ensure Ukraine has what they need to take to fight to Russia. He warned Russia must be defeated to prevent its troops from pressing further into Europe. Also, Britain has long been a vocal supporter of Ukraine, and the additional funding will take London's total military aid for this financial year to £3 billion, just days after the US House of Representatives approved a $60 billion package. Meanwhile, a delegation of U.S. representatives visited Kyiv on Monday to tout support for Ukraine. The visit comes following the passage of a $95 billion legislative package providing security assistance to Ukraine, Israel and Taiwan. Both Republican and Democrat representatives spoke to the media and paid their respects at the Memory Wall of Fallen Defenders of Ukraine after meeting President Volodymyr Zelensky.
As we discussed with the President, U.S. assistance in Ukraine is in good hands. I am confident that with the stringent oversight and accountability measures in place to ensure that our aid is not subject to fraud, corruption, or diversion. And once on the battlefield, we know that U.S.-provided weapons will be put to good use.
While in the Novomykhailivka in eastern Ukraine, Russia said its forces had taken control of the town, but Ukraine's military fighting there said it was still in control of the village. Heavy battles in the area some 40 kilometers southwest of the Ukrainian city of Donetsk have been going on for weeks. This was the second advance Moscow has announced in 2 days. On Sunday, Russia said it had taken control of the settlement of Bohdanivka further to the north. Bohdanivka lies northeast of Chasiv Yar, a strategic town located on high ground, which, if captured, could open up the way for Russia to advance on several fortress cities in eastern Ukraine. And updates related to Israel-Hamas conflict now. For weeks, international mediators have facilitated talks on a ceasefire and hostage deal. However, the talks have yielded no apparent breakthroughs, with both the warring sides accusing each other of rejecting proposals. Meanwhile, the U.S. State Department on Monday said Hamas moved the goalpost in ceasefire talks with Israel. In a media briefing, State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller said Hamas has signaled that they don't want an agreement.
Hamas has then changed their demands. And so it certainly does seem like Hamas is more interested in a full-scale regional war, that they were watching the events of the past few weeks and making the determination that they might get the full-scale regional war they were hoping for, and so have not agreed to a very significant proposal that was on the table. And so we will continue to push for an agreement because we believe it's in the interests of Israel. We believe it's in the interests of the United States. We believe it's in the interests of the broader region. But it takes two to make an agreement. And right now, Hamas has signaled that they don't want an agreement.
Well, families of Israeli hostages of the Be'eri kibbutz gathered at the Hostages Square in Tel Aviv on Monday evening to attend a Seder in support of those held captive in Gaza by Hamas since October 7th. Kibbutz Be'eri community was one of the main targets. Many who joined the Seder dinner said they could not fully celebrate freedom this year. Passover, starting on Monday evening, is traditionally observed with the Seder, a holiday feast when families gather and celebrate the biblical account of the Israelites' freedom from Egyptian slavery. And the Israeli military's intelligence chief has resigned after accepting responsibility for the failures that allowed the devastating Hamas-led attack on Israel on October 7th. Major General Aharon Haliva, a 38-year veteran of the military, in his resignation letter acknowledged that his intelligence directorate did not live up to the task we were entrusted with. Haliva is the first senior figure to step down over the attack, which was the deadliest in Israel's history. The Israel Defense Forces said Major General Aharon Haliva would retire once his successor was selected. And shifting focus now, Iran's President Ebrahim Raisi met Pakistani President Asif Ali Zardari at the President's house in Islamabad on Monday during his three-day visit to the country. President Zardari's office said that Pakistan and Iran have reiterated the resolve to further broaden mutually beneficial cooperation in various areas of common interest. The two leaders also discussed the situation in the Middle East, with Zardari expressing concern over the worsening humanitarian situation in Gaza. Raisi, who was accompanied by a delegation that included the country's foreign minister and cabinet members, will next visit the eastern city of Lahore and southern port city of Karachi. And Oman Sultan Haitham bin Tariq arrived in the UAE on Monday, where he met with Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, President of the United Arab Emirates. The Gulf leaders convened for an official meeting at a session held at Qasr Al Watan in Abu Dhabi, the capital of the UAE. The two leaders discussed bilateral relations as well as regional matters. Tariq has embarked on a two-day state visit to the UAE, arriving amidst ongoing recovery efforts in both countries following the devastating flash floods and unprecedented rainfall. And still to come on DD India News Hour. North Korea holds first nuclear trigger drills as part of testing the nationwide nuclear management system. Another massive earthquake rattles Taiwan east coast again within 3 weeks. And Bangladesh reels under severe heat wave. Heat wave alert extended for 3 more days.
Voice of a rising aspirational world. Stories of challenges, struggles and accomplishment. A world battling conflict, hunger and poverty. Embracing growth, development, science and technology. A voice of progress, a voice of unity. Watch Voice of the Global South with me, Akshay Dongre, only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lepak Shikurana, and moving on, North Korea conducted its first drills stimulating a nuclear counterattack and its nuclear trigger management system in an exercise guided by leader Kim Jong Un. North Korea fired several short-range ballistic missiles on Monday towards the sea off its east coast. As part of testing the nationwide nuclear management system, its artillery forces joined the country's first such drills in a show of diversified nuclear capabilities. Kim oversaw the simulation drills involving maneuvering troops in nuclear counter-attack posture and firing artillery with mock nuclear warheads in case nuclear crisis alerts were issued. And for more on this, we have our correspondent Laura joining us. Well, Laura, what is North Korea's aim with these latest drills?
Yes, these latest drills were overseen by the leader Kim Jong Un, so that gives you some of an idea of how significant they were. And they were confirmed by South Korea's military, who said that North Korea fired several short-range ballistic missiles off its east coast. The launch was also confirmed by Japan. Now, Monday's launch represents the first demonstration of North Korea's nuclear weapons program that's called Nuclear Trigger, and this was overseen by Kim Jong Un. North Korean state media called it a clear warning signal to its enemies. And the response from South Korea has been that this is a blatant provocation. The timing of this is also important. It comes as the US and South Korea are holding their annual air drills. These have been reported to be the largest air drills. There are around 100 aircraft taking place. So that gives you an idea that of the timing of this, coming at a time when there are these very important air drills taking place between South Korea and the United States.
How do you see the regional tensions increasing after this?
Yes, regional tensions are quite high, and we have seen the US and South Korea really drawing together in response. South Korea and the United States have also been carrying out trilateral drills with Japan, and Japan is also watching what's happening very, very closely. And this also comes at a time when the US and South Korea are set to begin a cost-sharing talks. That's around South Korea hosting some 28,000 US troops in South Korea. Now, these negotiations, they take place every year, but they are being brought forward, and that's because the US is holding its presidential election in November, and the thinking behind this of getting these talks sewn up early is to try and get that done before we find out who takes the next office of president in the United States.
All right. Thank you so much, Laura, for that update from there. And moving on, just 3 weeks after a 7.2 magnitude quake hit Taiwan, more than 180 earthquakes struck the country's east coast starting Monday night and into the early hours of Tuesday. The strongest tremor was recorded at 6.3 magnitude. The Marshall Building and a hotel in Hualien, which had already been damaged during April 3rd's quake, tilted to the side. The new series of quakes was centered on the largely rural eastern county of Hualien. There were no reports of any casualties. And the United States Supreme Court on Monday confronted the nation's homelessness crisis. The Supreme Court wrestled with major questions about the growing issue of homelessness as it considered whether cities can punish people for sleeping outside when shelter space is lacking. The justices heard arguments in an appeal that enforcing these anti-camping ordinances against homeless people violates the U.S. Constitution's 8th Amendment prohibition on cruel and unusual punishments. It's the most significant case before the High Court in decades on the issue and comes as a record number of people are without a permanent place to live in the United States. The case started in Oregon's Grants Pass, which began fining people to $95 for sleeping outside as the cost of housing escalated. According to U.S. government estimates, on any given night in the United States, more than 600,000 people are homeless. Well, peace talks between the Colombian government and the National Liberation Army rebels will resume in May in Venezuela. The peace talks to resume over a month later than initially scheduled after the guerrilla suspended the talks, accusing the government of parallel negotiations. The announcement is the latest development during President Gustavo Petro's peace process with the ELN, which restarted at the end of 2022 as part of his efforts to end Colombia's 6-decade conflict that killed at at least 450,000 people. The guerrilla group said the suspension was due to the unfair and dishonest government regional talks and an attempt to demobilize the ELN there. The government responded the dialogue must not be delayed. And Solomon Islands faces a tense wait for an election result after opposition parties pulled ahead of incumbent Prime Minister Manessa Sogoware's party, as counting on Tuesday showed independents will be key to forming the government. Independents and micro-parties hold 16 seats, and Sogoware's R party will also seek to win independent support in the race to win the 26 seats needed to form government. The election is being watched by China, the US and neighboring Australia because of the potential impact on regional security. Police and defense forces from Australia, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea and Fiji are assisting with election security. And shifting focus, Haiti has called on the international community to act swiftly to prevent genocide in the country. Dominican Foreign Minister Roberto Alvarez Gil said his country would continue solidarity with Haiti but couldn't go beyond its capacity. Haiti is preparing for the installation of a 9-member council to take over from Prime Minister Ariel Henry, who pledged to step down on March 11th. Haiti's gangs have said their siege on the capital is a battle to oust Henry. Rights group estimates some 90% of the capital is now under gang control. Meanwhile, Haiti's Civil Protection Agency warned of possible flooding over southern parts of the country, further complicating conditions for those forced to flee their homes due to the violence. And some weather updates now. In Bangladesh, Meteorological Department has extended the heat alert for 3 more days from Monday. Bangladesh's highest temperature was recorded at 42.2 degrees Celsius in Chaudanga on Sunday. 4 people died from heat stroke in Bangladesh in the last 3 days. The heat wave condition forced the authorities concerned to close all schools, madrasas and colleges up until April 27th. Also, Thailand experienced an intense heat wave on Monday with maximum temperatures ranging from 38 to 43 degrees Celsius. Following the heat wave, Thailand's Marine and Coastal Resources Department reported that 1% of the coral reefs have started bleaching. Coral reefs around New and Meo Islands are being monitored for possible bleaching amid rising sea temperatures. In China, rescue operations were underway as heavy rainfall in southern regions caused rivers to flood in Guangdong. Emergency supplies, including food, water and other amenities, were being provided. As of now, 41 emergency boats are in operation in the city areas that accommodate around 38,000 people who are said to be stranded. Also, severe storms ripped through main regions of Turkey over the weekend. Heavy downpour and strong winds reaching 118 km per hour affected the southern, western and northern regions, including the capital Ankara. Trees were toppled and countless roofs were torn off. No casualty has been reported so far. On the other hand, a wave of cold weather of Arctic origin brought heavy snowfall to northern Italy on Monday. Heavy snowfalls hit the Alps with more than 1 meter of snow in northern Italy's Prato Nevoso ski resort. Following the summer heat of the last few weeks, a winter disturbance arrived from the Alps to the Apennines and is expected to remain for at least another week. Well, Earth Day was celebrated on Monday to demonstrate support for environmental protection. Marking the day, U.S. President Joe Biden on Monday announced $7 billion in grants for residential solar projects to power nearly 1 million low-income households. The solar funding is expected to create 200,000 jobs and save households about $400 a year. He also announced that applications are open to join the American Climate Corps, a program to prepare young people for jobs in climate-related industries.
Will invest $7 billion from our Inflation Reduction Act, a new program called Solar.
Well, Hong Kong too has taken a step marking the Earth Day. The country implemented a ban on single-use plastics. The ban will mean plastic utensils like straws and cutlery commonly used by restaurants for takeaways and food delivery can no longer be given out. But as Laura Westbrook reports, business owners in Hong Kong say going green is around 30% more expensive.
Hong Kong has some of the world's highest plastic consumers at 120 kilos per person per year. The aim of this scheme is to try and reduce the amount of plastic that ends up in landfill. Now, there are some 17,000 restaurants in Hong Kong, and that makes up tens of thousands of tons of plastic waste per year. Much of that comes from takeout meals. Now, eating out and getting takeaway is a really big part of the culture here. That's because it's affordable and many people live in tiny spaces that don't even have kitchens. As of Monday, styrofoam containers and plastic cutlery are banned, although there is a 6-month grace period to allow businesses to clear out their stock. So what do business owners make of these new rules?
To change everything into recycled items, I think it will take 30 to 40% increase in cost in general. So that definitely is quite expensive for us to bear that, but we've been well prepared on that. I think at this moment we still have been bearable of the cost, so we don't want to get extra pressure and burdens for the customer to bear. So I think in the near future, I don't know.
I heard, some of the restaurants, they already increased the takeaway price a little bit, to cope with that, and not much, like $1-2, we will transfer to the customer. I'm okay with that, but but I can't speak for the majority, right?
This only goes part of the way in solving the extensive landfill waste issue here, and is just the first in a range of measures to make Hong Kong more green. In a few months' time, the government will launch a new scheme to charge residents for disposing their garbage. That's to encourage people to recycle more and reduce the amount of waste that they throw out. Getting the buy-in from the public, though, that's going to take time, and experts say more education is needed. Laura Westbrook in Hong Kong, reporting for DD India.
And still to come on DD India News Hour. India gears up for second phase of polling. Campaigning for second phase gains momentum. We'll take a deep dive into why Kerala matters as India decides in 2024. And renowned sand artist Doordarshan Patnaik creates stand art of Lord Hanuman to mark Hanuman Jayanti.
Hype versus facts. In-depth news and analysis with experts who will help you decide why this election matters. DD India is the main election headquarters with numbers most accurate, data most reliable, and viewership across the platforms. Stay tuned to the Great Indian Election only on weekdays at 8:30 p.m. IST and 1500 hours GMT.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Kuran, and time now for a quick recap of the headlines. New York jury hears opening arguments in the criminal hush money case against Donald Trump. Prosecutor says he broke law and corrupted 2016 election. Defense says former US president committed no crime. UK Parliament passes Rwanda asylum bill. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak vows to start sending asylum seekers to Rwanda within 10 to 12 weeks. Ukrainian President Zelensky thanks US President Biden for support in securing passage of military aid bill, says Ukraine would be receiving long-range missile systems it has long sought. Senate to vote today. And in sports, Spain's World Cup winning footballer Aitana Bonmati was named Sportswoman of the Year, while Serbia's Novak Djokovic captures the top men's honor at the Laureus Awards ceremony. And let's now get to the latest on the world's largest democratic election in India. Well, political parties in India are gearing up to woo voters in their favour as second phase of general elections 2024 nears. India's Prime Minister and Bharatiya Janata Party's senior leader Narendra Modi will address public rallies in the central state of Chhattisgarh and northwestern state of Rajasthan today. Union Defence Minister Rajnath Singh will address a public gathering in northern state of Uttar Pradesh and eastern state of Bihar. While Home Minister Amit Shah will participate in public rallies in eastern state of West Bengal, southern city of Bengaluru and western state of Maharashtra. Whereas BJP President JP Nadda to address public meetings in central state of Madhya Pradesh. Uttar Pradesh's Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath will also hold a road show in the state's western city of Meerut. Also, Congress leader Priyanka Gandhi Vadra will hold public meeting in southwestern state of Karnataka. Congress leader Sachin Pilot will also hold an election rally in southern state of Kerala's Alappuzha city. He'll be participating in the rally in support of AICC General Secretary K.C. Venugopal, who is contesting the Lok Sabha elections. Also, Bihar's Chief Minister and Janata Dal United Party Chief Nitish Kumar will hold road show in the state's Bhagalpur city. Samajwadi Party Chief and former Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh Akhilesh Yadav will also hold public meeting in UP. Bahujan Samaj Party Chief Mayawati will also address a public meeting in Uttar Pradesh. And for more, we have our correspondents joining us from the ground itself, Aisha Khanam from Bengaluru and Debyendu Mondal from Bihar. Well, my first question to you, Debyendu, good morning. As the last day of campaigning approaches for the second phase, 5 seats are up for grabs there. How are the leaders campaigning?
Well, good morning, Lipakshi. Here in Bihar, the 5 seats that you rightly mentioned in the Himachal region is going to polls on the 26th. Of course, it's just about less than 48 hours left for the campaigning to close here in Bihar. And political leaders are giving the last push to woo voters to get votes in their favor. Today, we have a lineup of events in Bihar's this particular region where JDU leader and Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar will be addressing a rally. In fact, will be conducting a road show in Bhagalpur. He will be addressing a rally in Purnia. Whereas also the NDA allied Chirag Paswan's LJP will be holding a rally in Purnia. The Bihar's Deputy Chief Minister of Bihar and senior BJP leader Samrat Chaudhary is also holding a region in the Katihar and Purnia regions. Of course, we see a full-packed political lineup here in Bihar to woo the voters and to garner votes in their favor. We're just, as I said, less than 48 hours away from the mute period to begin as per the ECI rules. So we'll see, more of the leaders coming into this particular region over the next 2 days and addressing the voters here to garner support in their favor. So of course, the political heat is heating up in this region. And as I have been traveling across this region over the last couple of days, we have also seen how political leaders are doing this vehicular campaign in small vehicles, reaching out to small number of voters in some nook and corners, in some hinterlands and deep inside the villages. Here, remember, this part of Bihar is mostly an agrarian society. People live in close-knit societies inside villages. So, the political leaders are getting into these villages with their political leaders and the supporters to garner support for themselves here in Bihar. So of course, we'll see over the over the next 2 days, campaigning intensifying before the mute period begins. Back to you, Deepak.
All right, the last minute wooing going on. My next question to you, Aisha. The second phase will see the southern parts of the state exercising their franchise there. Key seats going to the polls this time. How is the campaigning going on there?
Well, Karnataka will vote on April 26th. That is the first phase for Karnataka in the second phase. Like Karnataka has 2 phases,
right?
April 26th and then May 7th. So April 26th is very crucial because it is the southern part of Karnataka. This is a region which has 14 Lok Sabha seats, and all the seats are very crucial for both the parties. Now today's campaign is really an interesting one because the campaigning will happen in Bangalore South. Now Bangalore South is a very prestigious seat for the BJP and for the Congress as well. But for a long time, Bangalore has become bastion for the BJP, and the BJP has been constantly winning the 3 Lok Sabha seats that come under Bangalore city as such. So today Amit Shah will campaign in Bangalore South for the candidate Tejasvi Surya, and Priyanka Gandhi will be campaigning for Soumya Reddy in Bangalore South. So both the leaders, both the top leaders of their respective parties will be campaigning, and they will be conducting a road show which is almost clashing at the same time, but obviously they will be on the different roads, I guess. So this is going to be a very interesting battle that we are seeing in Bangalore, because Bangalore, which sees a large number of cosmopolitan population, votes very interesting on interesting issues. And in Karnataka, it is very clear the fact that the people of Karnataka have always had their priorities in place when they vote for assembly elections or when they vote for Lok Sabha elections. So for the Lok Sabha election, most of the national issues are the issues that they base their choice upon. So the Congress, this is a Congress ruled state, therefore the Congress is making all the efforts to win as many seats as possible, because at the moment, from the 2019 Lok Sabha elections, the BJP has 25 out of the 28 Lok Sabha seats in Karnataka, and the Congress had just 1 seat. So therefore the Congress wishes to improve its tally to at least 15 seats. So for this, we see a fierce battle, the fierce charges, counter charges between both the parties during the campaign, and law and order as the issue that has been raised by the BJP during the campaign, and safety of women is one of the issues that the BJP is focusing on after the murder of a young student at Hubli in North Karnataka. And then the BJP has cornered the Congress and demanding a CBI inquiry. So all these issues have now heated up the campaign, and the Congress, for the Congress, this is a do or die battle, and for BJP with their alliance with JDS, this is going to be an interesting one, because the BJP is riding on the Modi wave, the personality of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, as well as his vision for 2047 and a Viksit Bharat, a developed India, which he has promised to steer by 2047.
All right, a fierce battle on there as well. Thank you so much for joining me, Aisha and Dibyendu, and giving us all those details. And moving on, Raiganj constituency, North Dinajpur, is seeing a triangular contest between the BJP, Trinamool Congress and the Congress. Even though the Congress and left parties are a shadow of their former selves in the state, certain factors in Raiganj make their combination a force to reckon with. Campaigning has been intense, but voters believe in keeping their cards close to their chest. This report gives us a sense of Raiganj.
Raiganj is a busy business town. The main market stretches in all directions, with traders having inherited their shops across several generations. They understand their trade well and look for the government to provide a more enabling environment. Their shops wear a festive look.
Everyone got something brewing in their mind.
People are hyped up about the elections. They give as much importance to voting as they do to worship.
The constituency is witnessing a cracker of a contest between the BJP, who won the seat in 2019, and the Trinamool Congress, who are looking to make significant inroads into this once Congress and left stronghold.
This time the contest will be tripartisan. There will be a fight in the election with the BJP and TMC. Behind them, then there is Congress candidate who will be involved in the fight.
A massive motorcycle rally is a demonstration of how much hope this election rides on. Biking is popular in Raiganj, as is cycling.
The candidate who wins here will win by a very narrow margin.
The temperature was about 37 degrees on Monday and is forecast to reach 40 degrees over the next few days. Campaigning doesn't slow down, however, and continues in the evening, giving one the sounds of an imminent election. The Festival of Democracy is not a festival of music and dance. Neither is it a festival of musical chairs. The sense we're getting from Raiganj is that it's a festival of voters, where every voter understands the value of their vote and wants to make it count. With cameraman Piyush Vardhan Verma, this is Mark Lin, DD India, Raiganj.
Well, about 80 kilometers from Jammu city, Northern Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir is Riyasi, where the primary means of livelihood is farming. Our correspondent Nandita Dagar travelled to Riyasi and filed this report.
It is election season across India, and in the northernmost union territory of J&K, the Jammu constituency, it is the season for harvest too. 80-year-old farmer Doordarshan Sharma is busy with his harvest of wheat crop. He arrived in India from Lahore at the time of partition when he was a toddler. He is content with life for the most part. He still wishes though for a perennial water supply for his crops.
These crops did not receive water. This much happened without water. If proper water is given in farming, the yield can double. Only 2 crops can be taken in a year, in the Rabi and Kharif seasons. With water, 4 crops can be taken in a year.
His 2 sons and his wife help him in the farm. His wife Tara Devi now has an LPG gas connection, but once in a while loves to cook on the earthen chulha. She makes sure that other women vote. Traditionally, they haven't voted in large numbers here, but things are changing.
I encourage everyone to vote, reminding them not to waste their vote.
It all looks idyllic with Doordarshan Sharma having tea with his wife as she cooks green vegetables for the dinner. Here in Riyasi, farmers like Doordarshan Sharma live a quiet and peaceful life. Notwithstanding that, they do face a few problems here and there when it comes to their farming. But one thing that all of them are sure of is that they have to vote on the polling day. With camera person PK in Riyasi in Jammu constituency, this is Nandita Dagar for DD India.
Well, the Indian Space Agency shared satellite images showing expanding glacial lakes in the Indian Himalayas. Glacial lake outburst floods or Govts can have devastating consequences for communities downstream. Govts occur when glacial lakes release large volumes of meltwater due to the failure of natural dams, resulting in sudden and severe flooding downstream. Satellite remote sensing technology proves to be an excellent tool for inventory and monitoring the glaciers and related activity. Long-term satellite imagery covering the catchments of Indian Himalayan river basins from 1984 to 2023 indicates significant changes in glacial lakes. Of the 2,431 lakes identified during 2016-2017, 676 glacial lakes have notably expanded since 1984. Specifically, 130 of these lakes are situated within India. Long-term changes in the Gepang Ghat Glacial Lake at an elevation of 4,068 meters in Himachal Pradesh, India show a 178% increase in size from 36.49 to 101.30 hectares between 1989 and 2022. And devotees gathered in large numbers at Hanuman temple in different parts of India to celebrate Hanuman Jayanti. Hanuman Jayanti is a Hindu festival that marks the birth anniversary of the Hindu deity Hanuman. Renowned sand artist Sudarshan Patnaik creates sand art of Lord Hanuman to mark the occasion of Hanuman Jayanti. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Yashasvi Jaiswal's brilliant century leads Rajasthan to a 9-wicket win over Mumbai Indians. In football, Inter Milan wins their 20th Serie A title. And we'll show you how Inter Milan fans celebrated the winning of their 20th Serie A title.
India that invents. India that innovates. India that excites. India that invites. Land of possibility. Teeming with opportunities. Watch India Ideas each Thursday 8 p.m. only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and on to some business news now. Investors scaled back safe haven bets on Monday as worries over a wider Middle East conflict eased, boosting world equities and pressuring gold, oil and bond prices. On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 0.67%, the S&P 500 gained 0.87% and the Nasdaq Composite gained 1.11%. Investors have taken conscious positions on Fridays in recent weeks, fearing an escalation in the conflict in the Middle East over the weekend when markets were closed and they are unable to trade. More than 150 companies in the S&P 500 and 173 companies in the Stocks 600 are slated to report first quarter results this week. These include several big European banks as well as US tech giants Microsoft and Alphabet. And Asian shares extended gains on Tuesday, taking cues from Wall Street as focus shifts to earnings results from US tech giants in a week, while a still strong dollar pressured the Japanese yen to fresh 34-year lows. MSCI's broadest index of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan rose 0.5%, helped by a 1% jump in Taiwanese shares and a 0.8% advance in Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index. The Asian index rose 1% the day before on easing fears of a major escalation in the Middle East conflict, recovering some of the 3.7% losses last week. Japan's Nikkei edged up by 0.1%. The beleaguered yen kept hitting fresh 34-year lows. It firmed 0.1% to 154.71 per dollar after plumbing another fresh low of 154.85 overnight. Well, you're watching DD India News and time now for some sports news. In cricket, Yashasvi Jaiswal scored a sensational century as the Rajasthan Royals beat Mumbai comfortably by 9 wickets in the ongoing Indian Premier League on Monday. Chasing a 180-run target, Jaiswal scored a brilliant 104 of 60 deliveries. It was Rajasthan's 7th win of the season and they extended their lead at the top of the table to 4 points. Jaiswal was assisted brilliantly by Jos Buttler and Sanju Samson. Earlier, Sandeep Sharma took his first 5-wicket haul to restrict Mumbai to 179 for 9 in 20 overs. Tilak Verma was the top scorer for MI with 65, while Nehal Vadera scored a quick-fire of 49. Meanwhile, Chennai Super Kings and Lucknow Super Giants will face each other for the second time in the last 4 days when they take the field today in Chennai. Revenge will be on the minds of CSK stars as they were handed an 8-wicket defeat by LSG last week. That win saw the KL Rahul-led side pull level on points with the reigning champions in the ongoing IPL 2024. LSG now have 8 points from 7 games, having won 4 games and lost 3. CSK have the same record but have a superior net run rate compared to LSD. And Spain's World Cup winning midfielder Aitana Bonmati was named the Sportswoman of the Year, while Serbia's Novak Djokovic captured the top men's honour at the 24th annual Laureus Awards ceremony on Monday. Bonmati has previously cemented her place at the top of women's football by winning FIFA's The Best, Ballon d'Or and World Cup MVP, among other accomplishments. She made her way onto the stage for a second time on Monday as the Spanish women's football team were named Team of the Year. Meanwhile, 7 7-time Super Bowl champion Tom Brady handed Djokovic his 5th Laureus Award after the top-ranked tennis player enjoyed a remarkable 2023.
Novak, over to you.
And Inter Milan won their 20th Serie A title on Monday after a 2-win win at AC Milan gave Simone's Inzaghi's side an unassailable lead in the standings. Inter have suffered only one league defeat this season, holding a 17-point advantage over second-placed Milan with 5 matches remaining. A header from Francesco Acerbi in the 18th minute and well-placed low shot from Marcus Thuram 4 minutes after the break were enough for Inter to claim victory. Also, thousands of Inter Milan fans took to the Piazza Duomo in the heart of the city on Monday evening, casting shades of blue and black against the backdrop of the Milan Cathedral as they celebrated the Nerazzurri clinching a 20th Serie A title. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.